All right, let's look at category three. Okay, and I know some of you folks, smart folks, may think of a way, say, hey, what about I do not, using money to buy that certain portion or invest in certain portion of a certain partnership. I use my property. I use, I don't know, intellectual property. I do not have any cash transaction. Okay, can I get around with this because there is like nothing on the book here, right? I just transfer a certain property to a foreign partnership, and you know what? I can exchange a certain interest in that property. Yeah, you are smart, but unfortunately, there is a category for that. Okay, that's called category three, property contribution. Okay, so that specifically said that if during a certain tax year, right, and as a U.S. person, you give property to a foreign partnership in exchange for an interest in it. Oh my gosh, that's exactly what you thought. Okay, I know you're smart, but the person who set out the rules is also smart, so yeah, they got you. Okay, so you are classified as a category three filer. Okay, so basically, right after you or your contribution, and then you own 10% or more. Okay, and that also, if you own that directly or indirectly of a certain partnership, as long as you own 10% or more, you know what? Boom, that's a trigger. Okay, or considering that specific contribution and any other of those properties that you, or you know what, if you say, hey, I got someone like related to me, I ask that person to do that, you know what, it's a no. Okay, you, any property you or a related person gave within the prior 12 month, the total value of this contributed property is more than 100,000 US dollars. So there is a dollar amount, not only just the ownership 10% amount, but also a dollar amount more than 100,000 US dollars within the 12 months. Okay, and then you know what? This number is kind of an evergreen number. Okay, as I'm recording this, the RS instruction for 2024, confirm this. It's like more than 100,000 US dollars. That total value, as long as they contribute property, is more than that. Boom. That's the category three. So yeah, you can't get around the system. To be honest, you can't say that there is no money transaction involved. There's just some property that I'll contribute, or someone related to me, I'll ask them to contribute. Yeah, it's all as the rule book. They're all like heavily regulated. Okay, yeah. Also, if there's, let me just give you some specific scenarios so you get a clear image of how these rules works in real life scenario. So, for example, you got like intellectual property, like IP, if I'm saying that fancy style. Okay, so if you got like a really big ticket contribution, okay, but you know what, the partnership may be huge, all right, or maybe you just say, hey, I'm humble, right? I just exchange for a small portion. Like, I don't know, I love the number 8, so I would just account for like exchange for 8 pretty small percentage, right, of that partnership. But I contribute my IP. But my IP was a lot. So, for example, some movie, novel, something like that, right? That was, I don't know, 150,000 US dollars, right? You know what? Still, this is a typical big ticket contribution, but exchange for small percentage. And unfortunately, that's category 3. Okay? Because, you know what? You'll trigger the second clause. Contributed property was more than 100,000 US dollars in the past 12 months. Okay? The same goes for, what about, I contribute to this partnership, but you know what? I just contribute a little, right? This is equipment. This equipment worse than I don't know 10,000 US dollars. But you know what? I want more, right? I want 20%. I want 12%. I want 15%. You know, that's first more than 10%. That's like threshold more than 10%. 10% test. Even though that property does not worth more than 100,000 US dollars. You know what? Category 3. Okay? And of course, there is like aggregation here in 12 months. Okay? So basically, if you do small pieces of contribution, right, do not trigger this like 10% or 100,000 US dollars. But as long as you combined, okay, so you do something in March, you do something through a related person, in I don't know, November, all aggregated, all combined, more than 100,000 US dollars. You know what? Boom, there is a like aggregation over the 12 months close here. So still category 3. Okay,